The sky slowly darkened. Although it was a desert, nighttime here was unlike other lands. On most continents, the night was pitch black, and temperatures would drop sharply. However, in the desert, due to the intense heat during the day, the temperature remained high, even at night. Yet, the desert still plunged into the same dark abyss, and that was enough to cloak them in shadow. "Get ready, it's almost time," Tang Tang whispered, using a trace of power to probe their surroundings beneath the desert surface. "Let's go. With my soul power concealing us, only act if it's absolutely necessary," Xiao Yin said as he surfaced first, his expression serious. "Got it." Mu Yingying, Little E, and the others exchanged glances with Xiao Yin before they broke through the ground, their figures now exposed on the desert sands. The group silently made their way toward the towering city walls that loomed tens of meters high in the distance. "What's that?" One of the patrolling serpent guards on the wall squinted at a few glowing dots in the spot where Xiao Yan's group had briefly appeared, then disappeared. He muttered quietly, "Did you see something?" "Heh, shift's almost over. How about we grab a few drinks afterward? Rumor has it some new human women just arrived." "Heh heh, can't wait to get a taste," another serpent guard said, his eyes already gleaming with wicked intent. "Sure," the first guard replied with a grin. "Hurry up, don't drag your feet. We're almost off duty," the second one said, excitement overtaking him as they made their way off the wall. "I don't know, something feels off." One of the serpent guards paused, suspicion creeping into his voice. But in the end, he shook his head and dismissed the thought. After handing over the shift to another guard, he walked away, leaving the wall behind. "Be careful. There's a terrifying power hidden within this enchanting serpent tribe, one even I fear," Tang Tang cautioned, as the group, now concealed, reached the base of the city wall. "Move out." Upon hearing this, Xiao Yin unleashed a vast wave of soul power, enveloping all 7 of them. "This kid's soul power is terrifying," Scarface muttered, feeling the thick, invisible force instantly wrap around him. Under Xiao Yan's cloak of soul power, you could sense that his own energy was now completely masked, not a trace left exposed. Even his figure seemed to grow faint and transparent. In this state, they could practically walk into the enchanting serpent tribe undetected by anyone weaker than Xiao Yin. The next moment, 7 figures shot up toward the sky, slowly drifting closer to the wall. Their movement was cautious, even though Xiao Yan's vast soul power shielded them. They couldn't afford to take chances and kept their pace deliberately slow. "What an incredible force! So this is soul power," Mu Yingying murmured in awe, watching as the patrolling serpent guards failed to notice their presence. "Strange, why can't I shake this uneasy feeling?" Xiao Yin thought, but there was no time to dwell on it. He focused on keeping the group wrapped in his soul power while extending his senses across the tribe, ready to escape at the first sign of trouble. After all, this was the enchanting serpent tribe. An overwhelming number of powerful warriors resided here. Even with their combined strength, it would be difficult to break through if they were discovered. Beyond the city walls, the enchanting serpent tribe was brightly lit and eerily quiet. Massive buildings loomed in the heart of the city, and Xiao Yin could sense an unusual aura hidden within. "It's working." The group was now nearing the base of the towering wall. Only now could they appreciate the sheer magnitude of it. The walls formed a square, and judging by their length, the city they encircled likely spanned dozens of kilometers. Tens of kilometers of city wall wrapped around the heart of the city, its oppressive presence weighing down on Xiao Yan's group as they approached. These serpent-folk structures, they seemed to match their pupils, all square-shaped. But what purpose do they serve? Tu Lang mused as he gazed at the massive buildings in the distance. Since this is the enchanting serpent tribe, it must have something to do with their power. "Be careful not to get lost," Tang Tang murmured, her delicate lips barely moving as her sharp eyes darted around. By now, the 7 of them had reached the towering city wall. Only now did they realize how wise it had been not to charge in head first. Every 500 meters along the wall stood a signal tower, hidden by the towering walls. Had they not gained this vantage point, they would never have noticed them. Each of them breathed a quiet sigh of relief. If they had tried to force their way into the enchanting serpent tribe, the sheer number of powerful enemies they would have faced was overwhelming, not to mention the presence of these signal towers that could alert those enemies in an instant. Escaping afterward would have been near impossible. Go! Xiao Yin held his breath, releasing an even more immense wave of soul power to cover the group. Getting past the heavily guarded city wall was just the first step. Once inside, they'd have to cross the tribe itself, which was no small feat. Xiao Yin didn't dare drop his guard, unleashing his soul power without restraint. If they couldn't breach this first line of defense, their plan would fail. Swish, swish. The 6 others looked at each other, their expressions solemn. They withdrew their auras to the extreme and, under Xiao Yan's soul power, silently scaled the wall. Who goes there? The moment Xiao Yin set foot on the wall, a cold voice rang out. A seductive serpent woman glared toward the spot where Xiao Yin had stepped. Damn it! Have we been found? Tu Lang cursed under his breath as his aura surged, ready to burst forth, but Xiao Yin quickly pressed it down. A trick of the mind, perhaps? I must be tired. The serpent woman continued staring at the wall's edge for a few more minutes before finally walking away, mumbling to herself. That was close? Tu Lang whispered, still shaken. These serpent folk are incredibly disciplined. They check their numbers and exchange information every minute. If there's even the slightest movement, they'll notice. A single minute isn't enough to get us through this enchanting serpent tribe, Xiao Yin explained after seeing Tu Lang had escaped danger unscathed. Thanks, Brother Xiao Yin. If I had acted, we'd already be exposed in broad daylight, Tu Lang said, grateful. Let's move. There aren't any powerful presences here. This is just the outer wall, meant to guard the perimeter. But to cross the enchanting serpent tribe, we'll inevitably run into their elites, Tang Tang said solemnly. When that happens, remember, don't get caught up in the fight, she warned, her eyes locking onto the massive city ahead. Everyone knew that from this point on, the real life-and-death struggle had begun. Xiao Yan's group proceeded with extreme caution after stepping past the city wall. Their movements were light, and their pace was slow as they descended the towering wall, making sure to avoid drawing any unwanted attention. Though they had spent quite some time carefully navigating the area, they managed to avoid any major incidents. Thanks to Xiao Yan's immense soul power concealing their presence, combined with the fact that most of the patrolling serpent guards were only at the 3-star Do D level, with few 4-star Do D guards, they soon breached the first line of defense and arrived at the base of the wall, ready to approach the massive city ahead. The enchanting serpent tribe truly lives up to its reputation as one of the 9 great tribes of the Medusa clan. This city alone rivals Xinling City in size. Scarface remarked in astonishment. Having passed through the towering wall, they entered the city, which was rather peculiar. Behind the city wall, there was a vast stretch of land, hundreds of meters wide, left completely barren. No one could tell why the enchanting serpent tribe had left this space empty. These serpent folk are quite clever, Xiao Yin said with a smirk, grabbing a handful of earth from the ground. The soil was black, clearly not the desert sand that surrounded the area. This isn't sand. It's actual soil? Tu Lang exclaimed in surprise, noticing the dirt in Xiao Yan's hand. The walls of the enchanting serpent tribe must serve to keep the desert sand out and preserve the soil within, Xiao Yin explained. The fact that they managed to replace sand with soil in this desert shows just how powerful they are. This is no simple feat. Let's move. I can feel we're getting closer to our target. Once we pass through this city, we'll be near our destination, Tang Tang said, glancing at the massive city not far off. One thing I need to remind you of. While my soul power is strong, my cultivation is only at the early 5-star Do D stage. If we encounter serpent folk experts stronger than 7-star Do D, my soul power concealment won't be enough to hide us. At that point, Xiao Yan's expression turned serious. Don't worry, Brother Xiao Yin. We've got your back, Scarface said, placing a reassuring hand on Xiao Yan's shoulder with a smile. Let's go. Stick to the edge of the city and avoid the center. If we head straight for the heart of the city, the danger will increase exponentially, Xiao Yin cautioned after a moment's hesitation. Understood. The others responded in unison. By now, Xiao Yin had earned the full trust of the Blood Blade mercenary group, so none of them took him lightly. "Big brother, I feel like something inside me is stirring," Little Li said as they made their way along the city's edge, glancing at Xiao Yin with concern. "I'm feeling it too. The flame power within me is unusually restless, as if something is drawing it out," Mu Yingying said softly, her lips barely moving as her eyes revealed a thoughtful glimmer. "I thought it was just me. Seems like we're all sensing something," Xiao Yin mused. "We're deep within the desert now, probably near the heart of the desolate Death Desert. This place has been known as a land of death since ancient times, filled with countless treasures. No one knows what we might encounter, but one thing is certain. The disturbance we're sensing might not be a bad thing." Little E, being a fire spirit, had long since absorbed the fusion power of Xiao Yan's 23 types of heavenly flames. Xiao Yan wasn't too concerned about the strange sensation she was feeling. However, Xiao Yin could sense that the power of Mu Yingying's sacred flame was even stronger than the fusion of his own 23 types of heavenly flames. Yet, Mu Yingying had always avoided discussing the true nature of her sacred flame, and Xiao Yin didn't want to press the matter. "Don't worry, we're all in this together," Xiao Yin said gently, sensing Mu Yingying's unease. He placed a comforting hand on her shoulder before turning his focus back to their path forward. "Let's hope so. But this fluctuation feels like it has the scent of flames. Could it be the sacred flame?" Mu Yingying murmured to herself as she followed behind. "Heh, these kids," a soft chuckle echoed faintly. Elder Zhu had been uneasy since they first entered the desolate Death Desert. However, after witnessing Xiao Yin and the others' cautious behavior and their successful infiltration of the enchanting serpent tribe, he finally relaxed. They've made it to the far end of the tribe. It looks like they'll be fine. Now it's time to deal with those pesky flies. If I wasn't reserving my strength to deal with the Xinling King, these 9-star and 8-star Do Di would have been nothing but cannon fodder, Elder Zhu murmured with a laugh before disappearing, heading toward the spot where the Xinling King's group had vanished. With his half-step Docian strength, Elder Zhu had long since noticed the 3 individuals tailing him. "Damn it! Where did that old ghost go?" One of the 3 pursuers muttered in frustration when Elder Zhu suddenly disappeared. "Be cautious, Songli. That old man, Zhu Jin, has likely already spotted us. His title as the top battle array master in Mystic 3 Heavens is no joke," Lu Quan, a short, stocky man among the 3, warned softly. "Third sect leader, if we take out Zhu Jin here in the desolate Death Desert, it would greatly benefit our plans. Besides, we're deep in the desert. There's no need to worry about retaliation from the incense pavilion," Yang Wei said with a sinister smile. "No rush. The Xinling King and his group didn't come all the way here to the Medusa clan's territory without a reason. I suspect Zhu Jin realizes this too, which is why he hasn't confronted us directly," Lu Quan said, his voice full of intrigue. "So what should we do?" Yang Wei asked, puzzled. "Let's wait and see. I'm curious to find out what the Xinling King is really up to," Lu Quan replied before disappearing into the shadows. Meanwhile, Xiao Yan's group continued to hug the city's outer edge, encountering no obstacles. The outer parts of the city were mostly inhabited by individuals of average strength. The true powerhouses resided in the city's center. Xiao Yan paused as he felt a sudden, intense heat emanating from his storage ring. "What is this?" He quickly sent a wisp of soul power to investigate the source of the anomaly within his storage ring. As soon as his soul power entered the Imperial Flame Ring, he discovered that the secluded space where his martial uncle, the Golden Dragon King, had been in retreat was now glowing with a brilliant golden light. A terrifying energy was brewing within. At the same time, a transparent soul jade floated into the air from within the storage ring. Suddenly, a dazzling light burst forth from the soul jade, which bore the soul power of Suner, Cai Lin, Gu Yuan, and Zhu Kuan. It's Cai Lin." Xiao Yin was taken aback. A lifelike serpent shadow swam continuously within the jade, its scorching heat spreading through Xiao Yan's entire body. "Cai Lin, is it really you?" Xiao Yan's heart raced. The Medusa clan, could it be? Xiao Yin quickly calmed himself and analyzed the situation, his mind already piecing together some answers. "Cai Lin, don't worry, I'll find you. Xiao Yin silently vowed. If anyone dares to hurt you, they will pay with their life. Xiao Yan's face darkened as his soul quickly withdrew from the storage ring, a wave of violent energy surging from him. What's wrong with him? Mu Yingying, who was closest to Xiao Yin, sensed the abrupt shift in his emotions. Just moments ago, he had been calm and composed, but now his mood seemed unstable, and his pace had noticeably quickened. Let's move. It looks like we're almost through the enchanting serpent tribe. Tang Tang noticed Xiao Yan's unusual behavior as well, but she merely gave a slight nod to Mu Yingying before the group resumed their cautious movement. Judging by the situation, it wouldn't be long before they would break through the tribe's territory. Meanwhile, deep in the heart of the desolate Death Desert, in an uninhabited and desolate area, this place was perpetually buried beneath endless yellow sands, with not a single soul in sight. At first glance, the vast expanse of desert looked no different from any other part of the desert. But upon closer inspection, one could notice a subtle yet eerie difference. The sand here moved. The sand was alive. A giant eagle swooped down, spotting a rabbit scurrying across the strange desert. With its talons outstretched, the eagle dove toward its prey. Thud. Just as the eagle was about to snatch the rabbit, the creature vanished in an instant. In its place, the yellow sand surged upward, swallowing the eagle whole. In a matter of moments, the eagle was devoured by the living sand, leaving no trace behind. The terrifying power of this mysterious desert was beyond imagination. Beneath the vast sea of sand lay a massive underground palace. Within the palace, a graceful figure slowly appeared. It was Cai Lin. Ever since Cai Lin had been separated from Xiao Yin and the others in the tunnel that led to the Dodi continent, she, Suner, Gu Yuan, and Zhu Kuan had escaped through the passage but were scattered in the process. Cai Lin had been teleported to the Medusa clan within the mystic three heavens, but she had no idea where the others were. The only thing she could be certain of was that they were alive. Upon arriving on the Dodi continent, Cai Lin had mysteriously broken through to the 5-star Dodi level upon entering the territory of the Medusa clan. She wasn't entirely sure why, but suspected it had something to do with the blood of the 9-colored heaven swallowing python that flowed within her. Not long after her arrival, she had encountered an incredibly powerful expert, a terrifying 9-star Dodi blue flower serpent. Cai Lin had been prepared to risk her life, but the bloodline power of the 9-colored heaven swallowing python within her had instinctively suppressed the blue flower serpent. Realizing that Cai Lin possessed the legendary 9-colored heaven swallowing python bloodline, the blue flower serpent, despite opposition from some of the Medusa clan's leaders, had worked with them to send Cai Lin into the clan's divine hall. The Medusa clan's divine hall was a sanctuary for all those who carried the Medusa bloodline. Or rather, it was more accurate to say it was a sanctuary for those with the heaven-swallowing python bloodline, as the heaven-swallowing python was an ancient beast of extraordinary power. Only descendants of this bloodline could enter the divine hall. No matter how powerful, not even a 9-star Dodi like the blue flower serpent could enter if they lacked the bloodline. This divine hall held many secrets. Outside the underground palace, everything was eerily quiet. The palace itself was tightly sealed, as if it had stood undisturbed for eternity, exuding an ancient, weighty aura. This place truly is strange, Cai Lin murmured. She had been informed of some things about the Dodi continent by the blue flower serpent before being sent into the Medusa clan's divine hall. According to the blue flower serpent, the divine hall housed the descendants of the Medusa bloodline. But so far, apart from the massive statue before her, Cai Lin had seen no one else. Her jade-like hand glowed faintly with 9 colors as she maintained a constant vigilance over her surroundings, ready to unleash a terrifying power the moment something seemed amiss. Strangely enough, despite spending a significant amount of time inside the divine hall, the only thing she had encountered was the enormous statue in front of her. The hall itself was vast, but there was nothing else to be found within it. Cai Lin vividly remembered that when she first entered the divine hall, the place had been crawling with numerous scorpions and snakes. However, the intense 9-colored energy radiating from her had easily kept those creatures at bay, causing no trouble. So, this is the ancestor of the Medusa clan. Cai Lin stared up at the massive statue in front of her, unable to hide her astonishment. The statue was towering, about several dozen meters high, with hair formed into 10 snake-like tendrils, each glowing with a different color. Even though it was just a statue, Cai Lin could feel the terrifying power emanating from it. What was most unsettling were the statue's ash-gray eyes. The moment Cai Lin made eye contact with them, a chill crept over her entire body. It was as if the eyes, combined with the tin-colored snake-like hair, radiated a wave of destructive energy. Could it be that the secrets of the Medusa clan lie within this statue? Cai Lin mused, carefully studying the statue. When she failed to uncover anything further, she sat cross-legged on the floor, the 9-colored light around her body gently undulating. As soon as the 9-colored light radiated from Cai Lin's body, the once lifeless statue's pupils suddenly emitted a fiery glow, and before Cai Lin could react, the statue absorbed her entirely. Damn it! Cai Lin cursed, hastily circulating her do qi in an attempt to resist the suction force. But to her confusion, the force pulling her in shared a strange connection to her own source power. The energy felt similar to the bloodline within her own body. Cai Lin's blood had already evolved into that of the 9-colored heaven-swallowing python, and the only thing that could make her feel this level of fear was the 10-colored heaven-swallowing python, an ancient power that had only appeared in myths. Cai Lin vanished from the divine hall, finding herself in a strange new space. This space was peculiar, filling Cai Lin with a sense of confinement. The area was dark, and within it stood a lifelike figure, one that resembled the statue she had seen in the divine hall. Who's there? Cai Lin's lips moved slightly as she spoke in a cold, commanding tone. Even from a distance, she could feel the terrifying aura radiating from the woman's figure. How unexpected! A little one carrying the bloodline of the 9-colored heaven-swallowing python. A cold voice rang out from the shadowy space. As the voice echoed, the secrets Cai Lin had kept hidden were fully revealed. A towering snake tail, hundreds of meters long, surged out of her body uncontrollably, accompanied by an overwhelming torrent of 9-colored do qi that enveloped her entire being. Damn it! Cai Lin let out a cold snort. Although she didn't fully understand what was happening, she felt an overwhelming force pressing down on her ever since she entered this space. This suppression came from deep within her soul, or more accurately, from her bloodline. Who exactly are you? Cai Lin growled, as her massive serpent tail surged with the power of her 9-colored energy, launching a fierce attack toward the mysterious figure before her. Heh, what a fiery and proud woman! The mysterious figure smiled faintly. Behind her, 10 snake-like strands of hair, each glowing with a different color, suddenly lit up. In the next moment, a terrifying energy imbued with the power of 10 colors shot toward Cai Lin's massive 9-colored serpent tail. Swish! Their energies collided violently, yet no thunderous explosion followed. Instead, the 10-colored energy gradually began to freeze Cai Lin's serpent tail in place, trapping it. 10-colored heaven-swallowing python. Cai Lin's eyes widened in disbelief as she stared at the mysterious woman. Her voice was bitter as she spoke. So, the legendary 10-colored heaven-swallowing python really exists in this world. It's been so many years and finally, someone with the Medusa bloodline has arrived. The mysterious figure turned slowly, her gaze landing on Cai Lin with a mixture of joy and weariness, as though she had waited countless ages. Her voice carried the weight of endless time. In the next instant, the mysterious woman vanished from sight. Who's there? Cai Lin became even more alert, her body erupting with brilliant 9-colored energy as her sharp eyes scanned the surroundings. At the moment the mysterious figure disappeared, Cai Lin was struck by a sense of dread. Even with her strength, she couldn't break free from this space. Based on her estimation, breaking through this realm would require at least the strength of a 9-star do D. I'm right here. A melodious voice suddenly rang out. Cai Lin looked up, her gaze falling upon the mysterious woman. The woman's hair was like that of a snake or scorpion, vividly colored and terrifying in shape. Her hair was divided into 10 strands, each glowing with a different hue. But the most striking feature was her eyes. The woman appeared young, with a rare expression of satisfaction on her beautiful face. Her skin was flawless and radiant, as if she wasn't on the verge of death. Yet her eyes were entirely lifeless, devoid of any energy or color, filled only with a grayish deathly hue that instilled deep fear. "What's wrong?" the mysterious woman asked softly, walking closer to Cai Lin. She stopped 5 meters away and gave a faint smile. That smile was enchanting, but it sent shivers down Cai Lin's spine. "Senior?" Cai Lin suppressed the shock surging within her and addressed the woman respectfully. She didn't know this person's true strength, but the terrifying tin-colored power in her hair spoke volumes. "Come here," the woman said as she raised her jade-like hand. Instantly, an invisible force of space pulled Cai Lin toward her. Now that Cai Lin was closer, she could see just how stunningly beautiful the woman was. Yet beneath that beauty lay an infinite killing intent. "You're not from this continent, are you?" the woman asked, her snake-like eyes scanning Cai Lin carefully. "Indeed," Cai Lin responded softly, though the immense pressure radiating from the woman's presence caused her do chi to tremble. "Senior," Cai Lin began, but she hesitated, seemingly afraid to say more. "You come from a lower dimension, the continent of do chi, where a branch of the Medusa bloodline exists. By harnessing the power of a heavenly flame, you advance to the 7-colored heaven-swallowing python, and later, by a stroke of luck, you absorb the power of the fallen ancient heavenly serpent from the 9 Nether-Earth underworld python, allowing you to ascend to the 9-colored heaven-swallowing python," the woman recounted with a smile, seemingly pleased with Cai Lin. Hearing this, Cai Lin forcibly suppressed her inner shock. Her eyes glowed with 9 colors as she stared intently at the mysterious woman. At that moment, Cai Lin felt as though the woman could see right through her. "Don't move. Let me take a closer look," the woman said, her hair glowing with 10 different colors. In an instant, those 10-colored strands of hair wrapped around Cai Lin, binding her tightly and rendering her unable to move. Cai Lin was forced to the ground, and the mysterious woman's jade-like hand moved slightly, summoning a stream of power that coiled around Cai Lin like a water snake. "Get away from me," Cai Lin growled, unleashing a massive surge of 9-colored energy in an attempt to smash the power away. As expected of someone who carries the royal bloodline of the Medusa clan. "You are indeed proud," the woman remarked calmly. She effortlessly shattered Cai Lin's attack, then without hesitation, transformed into a small, slender snake. The snake moved swiftly, slithering across Cai Lin's body. The snake form was delicate, with a smooth body and eyes that gleamed with boundless killing intent as it slowly wound its way around Cai Lin. Cai Lin's heart raced with shock. Her bloodline had long since evolved into that of the 9-colored heaven-swallowing python. Yet the mere shadow of this small snake filled her with terror, leading her to one conclusion. This must be the legendary 10-colored heaven-swallowing python. The 10-colored heaven-swallowing python was said to possess the power to devour the sun, moon, and stars, and to slay gods and deities with a single glance. According to legends, every serpent who achieved the 10-colored heaven-swallowing python form would inevitably become a Do Shun, a Do God. A Do Shun, a being who stood at the pinnacle of all dimensions, a supreme powerhouse in the great thousand worlds. Damn it! Cai Lin cursed inwardly. She didn't know exactly what was happening, but she could feel her vast reserves of energy being rapidly drained as the snake coiled around her. At this rate, in less than a minute, her do chi would be completely depleted. It was clear now. This mysterious woman was absorbing her power. And in the Medusa clan's divine hall, where danger lurked at every corner, being drained of do chi would spell certain death. Heh, how unexpected. You don't just have the bloodline of the 9-colored heaven-swallowing python, but also traces of the ancient heavenly serpent. The snake's silken voice rang out as its mouth opened slightly. Humph. Senior, such actions are beneath someone of your strength. Cai Lin continued to struggle, refusing to give up. If this woman, who was likely the legendary 10-colored heaven-swallowing python, absorbed her power, she might even use Cai Lin's body to be reborn. The thought of her mischievous daughter back on the Do-Chi continent and her daughter's father on the Do-Di continent caused a wave of sorrow to wash over Cai Lin's eyes. In the next moment, a wave of sorrow suddenly swept across the entire space, enveloping everything within it. As this wave of emotion surged, something strange began to happen to Cai Lin. At that moment, the entire sky and earth within this space seemed to change color. A brilliant surge of 9-colored energy erupted from Cai Lin's body. With a soft cry, she broke free from the snake shadow's constraints. A massive serpent, glowing with 9-colored energy, suddenly appeared from her forehead, extending 100 meters in length. The energy serpent radiated with dazzling 9-colored light, and an overwhelming aura of supreme power filled the entire space. The small snake shadow on the side, witnessing this transformation, muttered something in disbelief before reverting back to its original form, a woman. So, it has finally appeared, the true form of the 9-colored heaven-swallowing python, the mysterious woman said softly, a slow smile spreading across her face. After breaking free from the mysterious woman's grasp, Cai Lin swiftly leaped onto the head of the enormous 9-colored heaven-swallowing python. Standing on the ground, the mysterious woman's smile became even more unsettling. Suddenly, a wave of deathly energy was born in Cai Lin's heart, as if an ominous force had been awakened.